Why is it that the poor and the middle class are the best to treat the poor and the middle class? We would give 10% of whatever we had to spare to help each other, but you guys up at the top 1.1 something percent don't do shit. Here's the deal. When you give, let's wait till Christmas to give Consuela her $1,000 Christmas bonus. That doesn't do crap. That's like a drop in the bucket. Today I gave a sizable gift for me to a musician, and I was like met with tears about how much that meant. That a whole year of their ability to make money, like musicians make lots of money anyway, right? You know, a whole year of their money is just like gone or whatever, and they're struggling, you know. And even if you're a musician that is lucky enough to have a parent's house to move into, imagine that there is 1 million households right now where those parents are going to lose their house because of this whole bullshit thing. Oh, it's like, I gave to the Humane Society or whatever. I mean, nothing against clubbing baby seals or anything like that, but, you know, step up. This guy, he was so touched. It was $300, which, I mean, that did it to a couple guys or whatever. I mean, it's not a little amount, but it was, come on, a lot of you out there, $300. And I'm not talking to the people that make $400,000 or less. I'm talking about, or even the people that make $1 million or $2 million a year. But these people that make $1 billion a year, oh my God, the best way to put it is a million for concept or whatever. 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. We've spent $1 trillion on the F-35 BS thing, and $1 trillion to how many companies, how many people were really benefited from that? How many employees were hired or jobs were given for this one jet? $1 trillion, okay? $1 trillion. Do you know how many seconds that is? 31,000 years. Give me a break. Stop with this bullshit. You disgusting, rich, political buying fucks. You need to like wake up and stop like, oh, we get by, we like blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that the poor is going to rise up and kill you, but someday you're going to be in your deathbed and you're going to be meeting your maker, and people are going to look at what you did. Why is the world better? Because you were in it, okay? So not to pick on you all or whatever, but you guys better stop buying politicians. You politicians, you corporate Democrat whores, as well. The Republicans are, I can't even begin to describe the Mitch McConnells and what they would do for the rich or whatever. You need to step up and help humanity, or just step off, because your life is meaningless. You'll go down in the history books as just the biggest soulless fucking assholes. Yeah, you, the Koch brothers or whatever, your generations of your children's children will hear the stories of what fucking assholes you were. So yeah, I'm putting this out there. It's got a lot of bad language. I apologize. Oh, and for you religious right, you hypocritical jet flying, mansion living pieces of shit. Fuck you too. You know, you need to like, whatever happened to you've moved so far away from the teachings of Jesus and help each other. There's a better chance to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than blah, 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 blah. You guys have just totally abandoned that. It's like the whole thing, the gerrymandering, the controlling. Oh my God, don't get me started on Citizens United or whatever. But okay, I'm going to calm down here for a second and invite you all to please look into the one thing that Elizabeth Warren, the Pocahontas or whatever, has talked about. Now, and Bernie Sanders as well. These people aren't like socialist crazy fuckers. It's like millions of you, the 72 million that voted for Trump. What 1% of those are just rich people that wanted to continue to get served by him and the Republican Party. But 70 million of you are just chickens rooting for Colonel Sanders. What the hell is wrong with you? Do not watch Fox News, and, you know, careful with MSNBC and all of them, because they all use the same thing. They all just wash your brain to get you to believe or be afraid of, or to hate each other. That is their biggest mission. If I could just close this thing out with one thing, is just move towards love. Be love. Love your brother. gosh, it's the smallest thing to just like it. It's like there's like the thing. It's like, oh, I got a good feeling from holding a door. It's like, okay, if you're Jeff Bezos, do something where you get a good feeling by taking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kids and giving them a chance to have an education or even eat, after school programs and stuff. This whole welfare thing. The United States, I'm ashamed to say it, is the joke of the world. Do you know what I mean? I remember I used to do this charity work with Mother Antonia. She was a nun that lived in the prison, actually lived in the prison in Tijuana. Amazing woman, just gave up her life for this. And she told me the story. It's like, oh, this poor man, he has a family he needs to feed, but he did a petty crime and he's going to do 30 days in jail. But in the meantime, the family can't eat. Dennis, what can you do? And I just had to ask, I go, well, what was his petty crime? He goes, oh, he busted the window of a car to steal someone's purse out of a car. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Isn't that, I mean, he had it coming, right? What's do the crime time, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, well, the way they look at it down there is like, if she really wanted her purse, she wouldn't have left it in the car. And I remember being so, fuck that. Are you shitting me? It's like I want my purse. You had to break the window to get it. Are you kidding me? Fast forward like 5 years, I'm in Switzerland. And I got off in this train. It's like, in this town, it's like Aarau, I don't know how to pronounce it or whatever. And I visit my friends, and it's like this apartment complex, and there's this bike rack. It's got like 20 bikes, 30 bikes there. And there's only 2 that have locks on them. And I go, there's nobody locks their bikes. Why in the hell don't they lock their bikes? And it's like, oh, because people don't steal. And I go, well, what do you mean? I mean, there's no cameras or anything. It would be so easy to snatch. And we're not talking like little junkers by Pacific Beach, all rusted out. Like nice bikes. I go, why wouldn't people are you kidding me? Why wouldn't they steal? And she goes, because it's wrong, And at that point, when Mother Antonia told me that story about how, oh, if you really wanted your purse, you wouldn't have left it in the car. I felt like I'm the American. I'm just like a step above of this third world country. And of course, Trump and those people, it's like, oh, let's build a wall because they're rapists or blah, blah, blah. Let's create an enemy or whatever. But when I was in Switzerland, she told me that story. It's like, I felt like the low life piece of shit. I live in a country that would let a hardworking husband and wife family watch their child gasp to death, unable to breathe, because they can't afford the Advair for $300 and some a pop. I mean, really, for my son, I'm so proud he finished community college. He's got his job, but he still doesn't quite make enough because rent is so high and he has to rent this place by himself because he's in a remote area, and he would say he works for Caterpillar or something like that, and he can't afford his insulin and he ends up dying because of that. It's like, fuck you people that just think that just like we're expendable. When I say I'm talking about humanity. It's like, America, you're an embarrassment. It's like, rah, rah, USA, go USA, go soldiers, and we're American soldiers, and blah, blah, blah. We kick ass on the world or whatever. How are we any different than those countries that, I mean, God, a lot of those countries give insurance. They take care of their people. We're a joke. I mean, capitalism is like, raw capitalism and buying out the political system is like a fucking Taliban. Do you guys realize that? How shitty your life is because you've let this happen? It started back with Reagan. Oh, just give us all the reins, because trickle down Reaganomics. And then there was this author back in the 1800s or something like that. He wrote this thing. It's like from the horse to the sparrow or something like that. It's like, what it is like, well, the more you feed that horse, the more they will shit onto the road, and then the sparrows will be able to eat. That's what you're living in. So let's stop being enemies. Do you know what I mean? I've not lost family, but Trump is gone. He's leaving. The hate just needs to go. I mean, whether there's the racial thing or whatever, there's Man, it's hard to undo what was instilled to you as a kid or whatever, but I just invite you all to please open your hearts. Just be love. If every person you saw on the street was your mother, your sister, your son, your struggling person or whatever, we just gotta do better, you know? And this whole thing about, I would rather have 10 AOC bartenders stepping in there to change things. And that's another thing. You see these pictures of Congress, and it's like all these white dudes in the room. There's a meme talking about that. It was like all these white dudes in a room talking about women's health, reproductive health or something. You know, it's just like, come on, wake up. This guy, Big Mike, I hope I didn't say his name wrong. He talked about, it's like, choose your masters. Who is your master? At the end of the day, you know, you'll see a movie, you know, I don't know, whatever I can't think of any movies where the mom or somebody's dying, they're in their deathbed. It's like, oh, I love you, blah, 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 blah. It's like either, you know, in those times, that's when, you know, let me put it this way. It's like no matter how rich you are, you can buy people to be by your bedside or whatever to take care of you and serve you to the very end or whatever. But the quality of your life and why the world is better because you were in it is determined on the amount of people crying at your funeral. Do you know what I mean? And that's not like a threat or whatever. It's just like, what is your life worth? The Koch brothers, it's like, oh, what do they have? Just a bunch of accountants and people that got paid or made money off of the backs of suffering people. You know, anyway, I've gone on for a long time, but it's time to step up. And the other thing is this spending our money on war. Are you shitting me? That F-35, $1 trillion. It's like, oh my God, you know, for something that's now obsolete. It's like, take charge. You know what? These fuckers work for us. We will tell you how to spend our money. And it's like, oh, socialism, socialism, socialism. I want my money to go towards a bomb to like sell to Saudi Arabia so I can have them give me money to get reelected. It's like, how fucking stupid can you be? So there's a lot of you alive. And I truly appreciate Vietnam veterans. I missed the war because I was in high school. I was at that end, but I had big brothers, friends, big brothers die and come back. Just, you know, Jack, that's the whole thing. It's like the Gulf War, where it's like you create such a dismal situation where your only hope of getting to college or getting off of that farm or out of that small town or whatever is they create this situation to where is to go into the military because you'll learn a skill or career, but then they put you into these horrible situations that just ruins you mentally. 17 veterans commit suicide a day. First of all of you brothers and sisters out there, please know that in my deepest heart, I appreciate everything that you've sacrificed. You gave. You had a hope. You were required to do the worst of worst, or you had the crying forehead of a comrade on your shoulders, suffering from them having to do what they had to do. But war sucks. That's just such bullshit. And now we got the Space Force. It's like, don't get me started on Space Force. Okay, Afghanistan, we can't pull off another Iran. Oh wait, but there's no WMDs. Iran, we can't really go there, whatever. Let's close Afghanistan, close Iraq. But how are we gonna give taxpayer money? Our fucking money. Our money that keeps your nephew from being able to buy his insulin, you know, because everything's so goddamn expensive or whatever. You know, our money is being spent on a Space Force, you know. Oh, we've got to keep that flowing. And the same thing with this whole COVID thing. Don't get me started. It's like, oh, there's going to be a I was going to say vaccine, whatever. There's going to be a vaccine coming or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, where did this thing come from? I don't mean to get all conspiracy theorist or whatever, but you know what I mean? Those fuckers work for us. So I don't even know where to look in this thing to look you in the eye and say, those fuckers work for us. AOC, all of you ladies, I will give you my money till I'm blue in the face. And I got a big message, probably my biggest message to all of you now. If you have a teenage niece, or I don't care if you're a 50-year-old housewife or whatever, But if you have the heart, or you know somebody that has the heart to step up and run for office, start low and work your way up. It's time for us to take this back from the oligarchs. You know, God, they talk about Russia. Oh, Russia's just run by Putin and the oligarchs. What are we? We are like the biggest disgusting joke. I mean, like I said, how do they get all these 70 million chickens to root for Colonel Sanders? You know, wake the fuck up. Okay. So, all right. So I'm anyway, I'd like to go back to a place of love right now. It's hard. It's just like create love, create situations of love and giving to each other. The hardest thing about, you know, $300 wasn't a lot for me. I mean, it's, you know, whatever, to a musician that's pretty much a stranger to me. But to have that person be moved to tears that that it was going to help them, you know. And I'm not talking that they're going to go out and buy Christmas presents, but just to eat, you know. So we need to have a shift. And it's not like, oh, I gave money to that well or whatever. It's like in each day, the middle class and the poor are so generous. They would just give so much of what they can to help each other. Why can't the billionaires, I mean, Warren's wealth tax, I mean, 2% of anything made over $10 million a year, that's nothing. You couldn't even spend the interest made on $10 million a year. Man, so I'm asking you guys, I don't think I have any friends that are 0.01 percenters or whatever, but I can just ask that please step up and be human. Yeah, that will be the legacy of your sainthood. Anyway, I don't know if I'll dare post this, but I may not have a choice, because if I leave tomorrow, at least I got to share that one experience of even the smallest amount. So $300 to me is like 300 million to some of you. Man, just please help us. Help us be a part of America. Help us not to be an embarrassment to the rest of the world. We're just, yeah. Anyway, because right now the way it is that, you know, corrupt politicians and lobbyists, they're the ones that'll break the window of a car to steal the last of what we have left. So keep the faith and change it.